guys, it's Eddie and today I am back with another movie review for you all. Now today's movie that I'll be reviewing is something that I've been wanting to review for ages, and I guess I just want to, if I can, spread more awareness about this movie and get more people to watch it because I think it's an absolutely brilliant film. It's actually one of my favourite films of all time. I mentioned it in my top 10 favourite movies of all time video not so long ago, and it is the wonderful Midnight Cowboy, directed by John Schlesinger and starring Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight. Now, this film centres around the character of Joe Buck, and it follows his transition to New York from Texas, where he tries his luck as a male prostitute, hoping to score some cash from some rich women. Unfortunately, this doesn't really go to plan as you'd expect. New York is less inviting, it's less welcoming than he expected, and he does encounter a fair amount of struggles, such as resorting to some same-sex acts for money. During this time in New York, however, he meets a rather down-and-out, illness-stricken street rat called Enrico Rizzo, aka Ratso Rizzo, played by Dustin Hoffman, and the two develop an at first rocky but enduringly caring relationship, and they sort of develop a really interesting, intriguing and emergingly close friendship in this very dire situation. So I won't say anything more than that, but that is basically the premise for this film. Now, I remember at the time, I wasn't born in 1969, I remember reading about when this film came out, and there was a lot of controversy because of the subject matter. Of course, it involves some nuances and some touches on homosexuality, obviously prostitution. It wasn't really your regular film for the 1960s. It was really a kind of first, and of course it won the Best Picture Oscar for 1970, and it was the first Best Picture film that was actually X-rated, and I must say that I think that Best Picture Oscar was incredibly deserving, and I'm going to go on to tell you why. Now, as I said, it's one of my favourite movies of all time. Jon Voight is truly wide-eyed and naive in this film, with a conflicting past that you can see really emerging in his face when he is left alone to his own devices, and he will start remembering things from his past that, to our view, when we encounter, certain flashbacks of his background and his storyline that we haven't previously seen, we do start to get this idea that Jon Voight's character is a lot more complex than the sort of Texan young man who is hoping to make it big on the streets of New York. So his sort of at first happy-go-lucky, emergingly conflicted identity is really helped by these illuminating flashbacks that are sort of interspliced into the film by John Schlesinger. And they sort of evoke something of a grimace, because you can tell that this boy hasn't had a particularly giving or even rewarding life. It's really no wonder that you sort of see him gallivanting off to try his luck as a prostitute, because we start to see that it really hasn't been the best for him so far. So yeah, I think that Jon Voight captures the spirit of this character perfectly, his naivety, his just continuing hope, and then, bursts of anger when he's annoyed. I think that Joe Buck is a really interesting character, and I think that Jon Voight really captures him perfectly. But I think the star of this film, even though Jon Voight's performance is absolutely fantastic, the star of this film is Dustin Hoffman as Ratso Rizzo. This is actually one of my favourite performances in a film of all time. I think, of course, for Dustin as an actor, it was a step up from the rather tentative, boyish Benjamin Braddock from The Graduate. He wanted to go down a different route and sort of prove himself as an actor, and I think he certainly did this, because really this performance is just incredible. There is something about it that just sticks with you way after the film is finished. And I think we all know that Dustin Hoffman is a method actor, and he went through the true method for this role, such as coughing so hard that he actually vomited at one point, and, you know, shaving off bits of his hair so it you know, he would have bald patches to make him look more sickly and all of that kind of stuff. So it paid off. It paid off. His sort of hobbling con man with a heart is a wonder to watch. It's truly like watching a master at work. For a performance that was, you know, fairly early on in his career, this film is just beyond amazing, and his performance within it is stunning. From his like squeaky New York drawl to this constant hobbling after Jon Voight's character with, you know, a really sort of bum leg and all of this stuff, and his sort of, you can see that you don't want to like this character at first because he is a con man and he doesn't treat Jon Voight's character incredibly well in the first instance, but as you get to know him and understand him, you can't really help but be endeared towards his character. And I think it's just Dustin Hoffman's fantastic ability as an actor that draws you in, and it's just a stunning performance. I love it. I could go on about it all day, but I won't, because there's other things to talk about in this film, but I just want you guys to know that I think this is one of the best performances in a film of all time. So the story itself is very bleak and saddening, but the two characters and the actors, of course, their fantastic chemistry with each other, you know, they're incredibly contrasting individuals, you know, but somehow they work. It's kind of that opposites attract kind of thing. So their chemistry provides, within this sort of submersive darkness, moments of light, because I think their conversations with each other can provide certain amounts of humour. Of course, there are really sensitive moments as well, but they do provide this sort of comedic light at times, which is really funny. And I just think it's evidence of these two actors working incredibly well and bouncing off each other on screen. And all of this bleakness, of course, which sort of encases the film, is accompanied by a really fantastic score by John Barry. And well, at first we get this sort of uplifting title, well, not title track, but initial track, Everybody's Talking, from Harry Nilsson, and it's the beginning of Joe's journey, and he's incredibly optimistic, and it just tends to go very well with the initial theme of this film. But as the film grows more bleak, we get this sort of tired harmonica sound that carries Joe through the streets of New York, and it does make you feel like you are also trapped in a sort of broke down and out limbo with him, and it's incredibly sad. I think it fits excellently with the theme of the film, and, you know, Joe's characters and Dustin Hoffman's characters simply wandering through life with nothing really, just trying to make a living, perhaps not in the best way, of course. So these two characters, with all their faults and all of their flaws, because they are very strange in their own respective ways, are incredibly endearing in the end, made more so by a heartbreaking final scene, which I can barely even mention. I won't mention because that would just ruin everything, and but I must warn you, you know, it's very sad, so get some tissues ready if you watch this film for that end scene. But really, you sort of realise at the end how much these characters mean to you, or that's certainly how I felt, because you do get very attached to them, and I think that's full credit to Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight for their incredible performances that totally draw you in. Finally, I will mention that there is some fantastic direction by John Schlesinger. It's sort of traveling the streets, following Joe, all of this kind of stuff are interspliced, these shots, with sequences such as the Ratso chase sequence and the psychedelic party sequence. You'll find out what they are when you watch it, which are fast cut. They're very furiously sort of spliced and cut. There's lots of shots, you know, it's very rapid, and you know, there's even cuts in black and white and all of that stuff that's almost seen from another world. And they're really interesting and they keep you on their toes. They're absolutely fantastic. So they're sort of drawn out for a second out of the bleak streets of New York into this very furiously cut you know, sort of sequence, which is really interesting. And I love it. I really love this film, honestly. It's, when I first watched it, I didn't know what to expect from it. I knew that it was a highly revered film and I just wanted to see what everyone, you know, was talking about. And when I did, I absolutely fell in love. I've come back to it time and time again, and I hope that you guys do too if you watch it, because I think it is a film that is just brilliant. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. That's my take on Midnight Cowboy. I don't think I even need to say what I'd rate it out of 5 stars. It would obviously be a 5. Because to me, it's just perfect. You might think differently, of course. I suppose I'm a bit biased, but really, I just want you guys to give this film a try if you haven't seen it already. But please, if you have, comment below and tell me what you think of this movie, because I'd be really interested to see what other people think. But that is my take on Midnight Cowboy. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review, and remember, you can always comment below requesting movies for me to review, and I'll of course do my best to review them for you. But that is it for now. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!